Hi everyone, excited to invite you to the Innovation Theatre today at Deliver. My name's Nathan Keller. I'm a partner at True Altitude, which is a venture capital firm based in London, Dubai and Sydney. I have the very distinct honour today of presenting a mate of mine who I've known for 6 years. I've seen his journey as a company, as taking it from obviously an early stage business to more recently an investment and topping it up. And as he goes to take on the world, I'm very excited to introduce Sebastian Steinhauser, CEO and founder of Parcelly.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, mate.
Hello, everybody. It's really odd to speak to an audience with headphones on, but it's a great experience. I enjoy it already. We want to talk today about the Hyperlocal network and Hyperlocal fulfillment opportunity as a whole. A fantastic and super exciting stage in this kind of e-commerce journey we all have been living in for more than 2 decades now, as the world has moved towards faster, more convenient and more controllable and transparent delivery. So what we want to look into today is, first of all, a little bit a description of the new normal, the market development and the status quo of what customers expect today. We will try to put the spotlight on how the economics of this can work, because faster, more convenient, more controllable comes at a price, and all this can be achieved with specific solutions that are available, but most certainly many of them are still in early stages, and I will give you a bit of more insights about that. And then last but not least, a case study example of technology that provides exactly that: speed, visibility and control in many ways. So let's talk about the market as a whole. We see some major trends that actually drive this e-commerce wave in front of us, and it is of course not just pandemic related. These are trends that have been running for years, far before. First is that we are seeing a massive trend towards urbanization. 2/3 of us will live, according to research, will live by 2030 in cities. This comes with its own challenges, not just from an operational but also from an environmental perspective. Customers buy more online, and we have accelerated this process throughout the pandemic, when we had consumer groups starting to buy through all sorts of grocery and food delivery apps that have never considered utilizing these type of channels before. The total online retail share will first time hit the 20% mark of total retail by the end of next year. The products that you can buy online gets broader and broader. You can buy a car online these days. There's literally no limit to what is available through a broad range of marketplaces and e-commerce platforms. And this obviously drives massive volume and the requirements to have the supply chain and fulfillment built for that. And then last but not least, a trend, and we remember very well when we set off in 2014 and started partnering up with on-demand and instant delivery companies, that was defined as a trend that will ultimately fail because it is too expensive to operate. We know today that it's here to stay. More and more of us request fast delivery. The growth of same day has never been larger, and post-COVID, we can say that this is part of the new normal. This comes with a number of challenges, and starts to build challenges that didn't exist to the same extent before. Fast delivery and this last mile piece comes at a price. It's incredibly expensive. We have a storage problem. Warehouse infrastructure is just simply not built for what we need from an e-commerce perspective to fulfill all these orders. Which is a reason why retailers start to utilize their brick-and-mortar outlets, their estate, for fulfillment directly shipped from store, etc. We'll look into a few examples. The speed overall is something that we also didn't anticipate. It's not just speed, and we will look into this in a few slides later, but it is one of the things that customers expect, a specific time frame in which something has to be delivered to be considered fast delivery. With this, the massive volume, 59 million parcels, it says here last year. The year is missing, but the calculation in what this means per second is just very clear, and I don't need to read that. And then last but not least, as we grow in volume outbound, it comes back to a large extent. Many retailers cope with up to 2/3 of their overall shipment numbers returning and reversing back to them. We will talk about this, particularly from an environmental perspective, in a few slides. There are also benchmarks. Whilst we have these kind of consumer market trends, some retailers set the new standard of what customers start considering the new normal as well. We have a few examples here. Marks & Spencer, of course, with incredible tailored multi-channel return solutions and options for their customer base. I don't need to explain too much the prime solution, but yes, a customer shopping frequently on Amazon starts to consider this a standard that they will want to see on other websites, and then obviously brands like Nike and many others that have started to expand their delivery solutions and to diversify the options you find at checkout by offering ship from store, ship to home, instant pickup within 2 hours, BOPIS, and then even holding orders for numerous days to give as much flexibility and delivery options to a customer as possible. And it's important to get it right. Almost 70% of the customers that have not received the delivery experience they expect will no longer or not purchase with a specific retailer again. So it's a frontier now that a retailer needs to tackle with a broad range of solutions, and of course with the right services at the right time. The requirements come with a specific set of expectations every consumer seems to have. It's one that you need to have the ability to track, to see where your order is and where it is in the process. Ideally in real time, seeing the dot moving on the map towards you. Free returns is a current status, something we will look into from an environmental perspective in a few slides, but and we see already counter initiatives with Zara now announcing publicly that they will start charging for returns, but it is an expectation level that we still need to cope and manage. And then last but not least, of course, this kind of instant gratification for an online purchase as the delivery speeds are built up towards those expectation levels. It has a massive impact. We know today that if we're taking an example of the UK, 1/3 of nitro oxygen generated comes from road traffic that is related to delivery and road transport. A quarter of that in London alone from a road transport or e-commerce related freight perspective. 15% of London's air pollution is directly related to e-commerce, and these are shocking numbers. And initiatives like ultra-low emission zones, ULEZ, etc., are a first step towards the right direction, but it's of course not the only way of how we can deal with this. What we need to achieve is to get petrol-engined wideband traffic from urban roads. And how you can achieve that seems to be by moving the goods as close to the customer as possible to enable delivery options that are green and sustainable, that cannot travel long distances to a decentralized hub, but can well transport and float within an urban environment, a super environmental or even zero emission. So this brings all those trends and all those challenges together into one slide, and an answer to all those could and can be the hyperlocal fulfillment network opportunity. A hyperlocal fulfillment solution is today not just warehousing. It goes far beyond that. And when we say far beyond that, we really mean it, because it's not just the physical space you are renting, you are tapping into a world that is entirely technology enabled. Returns and returns consolidation is a fantastic opportunity that only micro hubs provide. A decentralized warehousing solution will not have the proximity to your customer base to allow a customer to fly by and drop off a shipment they don't want. Click and collect as a standard given almost when we talk parcel shops, and PUDO is a clear given. But also leave safes integrated into a retail process. A failed or carded home delivery can be redirected to a micro hub to facilitate direct customer collection or a redelivery attempt the day after. And then last but not least, everything around cross-docking. So shifting, for example, in specific timeframes where the ultra-low emission zone is not active yet, prior to 7 a.m., for example, with a petrol-engined vehicle, goods into a hub, and then fulfilling the orders from there through environmentally friendly on-demand delivery solutions. So basically cross-docking bulk deliveries onto multiple different smaller couriers. What it needs is integration, and it comes with its complexities. And the slide, as small as it's printed, it looks quite complex already. Yeah. I want to give you though a little bit of a background, because when it comes to technology, most of it can be automated. The micro hub doesn't function on its own. A very big differentiator to the normal warehousing solution is that it's a standalone solution that it only hosts a limited number of SKUs for a limited period of time for a limited number of units per SKU. So it is a solution that is skewed towards being replenished on a regular basis. This happens from a distribution center. The primary logistics solution can then fulfill, replenish the item. In store, it's processed, made available, and can then started to be sold by e-commerce platforms directly on their websites. As soon as a customer enters a postcode at a checkout form, the system can check whether a SKU is available, and then a delivery option is shown. For example, yes, we can have it. You can have it delivered within 2 to 3 hours because it's locally available. And then it taps into a broad range of courier solutions. I mean, this is now an example very much skewed towards what we do. And you see a few of those brands we are working with. But what you need from a micro hub is that you will not find the hub solution that brings you a end-to-end fulfillment arm as well, with all its flexibilities. The micro hub solution we are talking about here is super localized. So based on a specific postcode you choose, you can set up a dark store or a warehouse exactly where you need it and fulfill from there. And then, of course, all this ending up with a same-day delivery to an end customer. I think we take questions later, but I want to show you quickly a case study, maybe to make this all a little bit more tangible. One of our clients is Krispy Kreme, a great example that micro hubs are not just for packaged goods, fashion, electronics, DIY, etc., etc. It works also very well and sits very well within the FMCG market. Separate though from everything you know from dark kitchens, these products have a specific lifetime, are well packaged, and require only an ambient storage. However, Krispy Kreme operates 80 bakeries across the country. Many of those outside those demand pockets, those areas where they have huge customer density. So after market analysis, we identified 62 postcodes that would provide a specific consumer reach, and rolled out a network in 2018 for Krispy Kreme that today holds the mentioned 62 stores. All of them are on demand, as in they can be extended, they can be set up for a specific time frame or for longer periods of time. They are all optimized towards demand, as in customer order numbers have identified a specific postcode, and in that very postcode we are setting up a hub solution. So it is actually almost impossible to get closer to the customer than that. It is all fully software enabled. So through an API, there's real-time data and tracking abilities. Plug and play makes it available in the WMS system of Krispy Kreme, meaning that you can literally in real time see which stock levels are in which hub, what stores require maybe a midday replenishment, etc., etc. Incredibly cost effective. You can imagine this compared to the typical branded outlet network. The micro-hub solution becomes an incredible lean and cost-effective way to tap into a consumer area. And all this entirely carrier agnostic. Whilst a specific city might be skewed towards a specific courier platform, you saw some of the on-demands listed over there earlier, another area might be much better skewed towards another. And a hub solution that is fully carrier agnostic allows you to do exactly that. You are setting it up with one partner, but you are utilizing in whatever postcode you have with a carrier that is most effective. And all this entirely complementary to your existing logistics solution. It doesn't require to affect the replenishment cycles or estate network outlet numbers that you had that Krispy Kreme was operating before. I think we're already through. This slide is just red, but it should actually show a few of the company details. We are operating today with around access to 10,000 stores in the US, UK, and Germany. 2,500 of those stores are activated and available for hyperlocal fulfillment. The range of our customers includes not just retailers, but also logistics brands, including DHL and Geopost. And we are here today at stand B83, sorry, this is what you can read, B83, and would love to tell you more about our solution and whether there's some application for what you're doing. So thank you much for your attention, and I'm happy to take a few questions.
Just wait 1 second.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Oh, wait.
So now I need the headset. That's fantastic.
There you go.
Cheers.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello?
We've got John.
I'm on the wrong channel. I think I'm listening to a speaker.
And listen to John Acton. That's what. Oh, so it's the wrong color, is it? Blue. Oh, just press once. Ah.
Thank you.
We need green.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you beautifully.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So the thing you said regarding the micro hubs, so then you said like you can put the postcode number and on that. So how do you, like you first take the demand of the last 1 year or something, and then you design it that how much stock should be there in that micro hub? How do you calculate it?
Yeah.
And when you say on-demand network ready to meet peaks, what do you mean by that?
Yes, brilliant. Very good question. I think like a major differentiator between a micro hub and a typical warehouse is that you skew it, that local proximity to your customers comes at a price, and that price is space. So the solution is actually skewed towards retailers that have a very clear visibility what products sell as part of a flash sale promotional activity very well in a specific postcode, limiting the SKU numbers naturally to a specific number. To give you a ballpark figure, our largest warehouse in terms of diversity have ranges up to 450, 500 SKUs. That's the cap. So we're not talking the 100,000 SKU marketplace. Absolutely. And yet, a 100,000 SKU marketplace might have very good visibility over what SKUs might be relevant in a specific postcode for a specific period of time. And this brings me to the second part of your question. The time frame, yes, it can be a running solution, as in all year. It is, however, incredibly interesting, given the requirement only to sign up for on an almost monthly basis to a subscription-like service, to run for specific periods of time where you as a retailer have need in a specific area. To give another example, a brand of Natura Group, without going into too much detail, utilizes us for the replenishment of their outlets in Harrods, Selfridges, and other London-based locations just for the Christmas period between November and end of January.
I have one more question. Where you shown the logistics movement, and you said like trying to do the trucks which are low carbon emission, but you never talked about the e-trucks or the hydrogen trucks in that, because that'll be more sustainable from that perspective.
You're absolutely right. What I said is what we see today. What the future should hold is that we are running entirely sustainable. Given that we are not replenishing, nor trunking or fulfilling last mile ourselves, but leave this to couriers, we are not necessarily involved in that. But our hope, of course, is the impact of a micro hub in the future being not just removing a little bit of pollution from roads and urban areas, but instead being entirely zero emission. Because yes, the solution is skewed towards allowing to be incredibly efficient in that regard, including hydrogen, etc.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question on the physical part of the hubs, basically. So do you also run those, and do you acquire those hubs, or because from the software and process point of view, I understand what you're doing, but so who finds these locations? And a sub question to that is, do you also consider mobile or temporary city hubs? So, which are maybe not brick and mortar locations, but more container, mobile-driven outlets for temporary solutions.
Yeah, brilliant. So, to the first part of your question, how do we find them? We are partnering with large retail, supermarket, wholesale, or symbol groups. In the UK, the likes of Tesco's, Booker, Costcutter, etc. So it is a network we get access to and then activate the stores we really need. This is our approach as well in the US now. This is how we're operating in Germany. The 3 markets we are available at the moment. By the way, this was also on this last slide. The second part of your question, how do we diversify in the future? And this is super exciting. At the moment, we're diversifying by adding more typical retail outlets to the pool or to the mix. So literally, you find within our network anything from a supermarket to a tiny kiosk and key cutting shop up to a pub. And technically, this is exactly how the solution is built. It is incredibly asset light, so we don't need to own. We don't need to own any space. We literally just tap into the available space and pay the respective location provider for the storage space we take up by retail or logistics volume going through it. And the future is almost open. Yeah? Anything is possible. We're talking parking lots, a test and trial that is in preparation in London. We could optimize locker compartments to an extent that we are using up those overcapacities some of the locker walls have, etc., etc. So it literally plug and plays into almost any available space. Always consistent with our vision and mission that you don't need to set up dedicated space, because we believe there's enough physical space available to cope for a few more years with the e-commerce volume overall.
Okay, thank you.
Don't know if that's going to be a tricky question or not, but basically in the quest to become hyper-local and on-demand, you mentioned that there's a number of different things to take care of. What would you say is the thing that companies could start doing today that requires least minimum amount of effort and would bring them maximum benefits, something that they can start to harness from day one?
As in a new retailer setting up?
Yeah.
I think like the opportunity is massive right now because the platforms available and the solutions available make it already fairly simple with marketplaces, and we saw a lot of e-commerce. We see a lot of e-commerce marketplaces exhibiting today to set up an outlet. Now the range of solutions already allows you now as well to not have a single physical outlet, to still allow instant delivery and instant collection. So this brings us back to the hyperlocal fulfillment solution, where you can literally, without having a single shop or without owning a single outlet, you can allow customers to buy something online on your website, hosted by one of those well-known e-commerce platforms, and collect it in store same day. So to answer your question, what should you consider? Well, consider the customer base you have, and whether this is something that would drive conversion. And I think it is not meant, when we're talking particularly this solution now, it is not skewed towards any type of product. Again, we're not it's not a dark kitchen where something is prepared, etc., etc. It needs to be packaged, ideally ambient. If you want to diversify, tapping into a broad range of potential locations, it should be a product that is simple to handle, etc., etc. Pick and pack is limited, so it is about understanding your customer base and what drives conversion, and then identifying the right solutions.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your questions.
Yeah, I'll ask a couple.
Oh yeah.
You want?
You have one more?
Is my mic on? Yeah? Yeah, cool. I mentioned, get rid of this. I mentioned at the start, obviously recently raised money. Congratulations again. So what's that look like for you now that you've taken on capital? Obviously, looking at what your business holds moving forward, is it expansion across geographies? Is it expansion of your offering, technology? What's it hold there?
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. I mean, we are running now for a few years. And we just closed a substantial round that is basically focusing now on growth and international expansion. So we are actually, and this is why the question is fantastic. We're looking very proactively at the moment for opportunities all over the world. The solution is skewed to scale very fast. We are operating since February in the US and are now already available in 4 cities. Nice. And it is technically very easy, particularly when we're talking hyperlocal fulfillment, to cover with a very small footprint. If we consider a store being very effective within a 4-mile radius around it, with a very small footprint, almost any given global city. So it's fascinating right now, and we are financially equipped and growing the team at the moment towards being available in as many markets as possible. Yeah.
Excellent. And obviously, being as many of us are in the logistics market, how have the carriers evolved to Parcelly? How are they? Are they now working very, very nicely with you? Are they still a bit, because I know with Tomato they were a bit standoffish at times. So.
Yeah. I think things have evolved. Carriers operate today global APIs, and most of them do very successfully, and that makes things easier for software companies as we are. Yeah. That said, yes, I think we offer obviously the in-house capability of integrating very deeply into a system that already exists, as opposed to opposing our own platform onto someone.
Yeah.
And this might still is still something that is very consistent with what we have seen over the years. That it requires a platform to be modularized and allow to be tailored towards a specific carrier solution. And this is exactly what we have built. A platform that allows almost to integrate in any given carrier platform. One of the reasons why we are now operating with the entire range from express cross-border brands up to the on-demand platforms everybody knows. So it's
Awesome.
it integrates very well. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And obviously, anyone who's in attendance here, if they're interested in potentially partnering and looking at, if they've got space or they've got thing, they just come to by the stand, yeah?
Exactly. Come to stand B83 and talk to us. We'd love to learn more about your last and first mile strategy and how we might be able to assist you with customer convenience, control, and most of all, speed.
Amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone.